Jumping right in, after my last November 25th video was taken down by YouTube, I'm forging ahead because the energies are still really, really strong, and we have our next portal 1212. Where time goes, I have no idea. But having lost electric and a couple of storms later, I'm still shining on, and I want to give you guys some great information to help you through. So again, since these new grids have been anchored, what's happening is you can actually let go of so many of the old issues that you had more quickly. People don't realize that a lot of things like negative entity attachments are coming back because they're allowing themselves to pull them in. And with so much negative energy already removed off the planet, what's happening is it's like it's a free fall of any negative energy that's out there. They're going to try as hard as they possibly can to attach to you. And you simply just need to say no. Say no, you do not consent. And I talked about this in other videos. And always during the time, November, December, as holidays are approaching, pressure gets put on people from family members, from friends to fall into all the old habits and the traditions, and people cannot separate themselves or have difficulty separating themselves out from the things that are going on. But you must be responsible for that, and you must hold yourself accountable for doing something different and not agreeing to the same old thing. If you are agreeing to the same old habits, the same old things, then you are encouraging these negative attacks. And you don't want to do that. And I'm saying it from a very loving but firm place in my heart. You don't need to accept the old. Now, if you have felt as though over the last year or months or 2 years, whatever it may be, you have simply been in some weird roller coaster pattern of not knowing what you want or where you're going or what's been happening, and you've kind of been thrown from place to place, it's okay. You haven't done anything wrong. All right, there were certain circumstances and certain situations that need to be completed in everybody's soul contracts. And the last few years have been extremely, extraordinarily difficult for light workers because, again, whether you realize it or not, you are doing work at night when you're resting, when you're meditating. All of these things are happening despite yourself. So don't feel as though you have lost anything, because if you feel as though you've lost something, then you're already either guilting yourself because you didn't do something differently, or you're putting pressure on yourself as to how your life should be versus just going with the flow of universe. And then the beauty of letting universe just plop things in front of you without the pain and hardship it would have taken over the progression of these 24 months. The biggest concept is allowing yourself to believe, even if you can't see it, that new grids are anchored in. And you should not or do not want to hold on to old ways, old information. It's as if you're waking up and looking at the world from a whole new level. How will our world look when we never have another Thanksgiving? There's no need for a Thanksgiving Day. That was a day that was hijacked. As a matter of fact, it was a horrible, horrible time for our Native Americans. And yet people still dig their feet in and they have to have a Thanksgiving. Every day is a day to give joy and thanks. Pick a day on the calendar that's your special day, call it a Thanksgiving, and change the actual holiday. It would save in transportation, it would save in stress, it would save in so many different things. Well, that got cut off. So, continuing on, what's going to happen is as all the old energy dissolves, so will many of the fake traditions, fake religion, places where we were hijacked. So, Thanksgiving, of course, is one of them. Christmas is another one. When people start to learn what truly happened to create these holidays and the sacrifices for them, they will determine that this is something they no longer want to participate in unless their soul contract has decided that they want to continue living in a 3D manipulated world. And then they will be moved to one of those earths that has already been set up. So, what's happening with our energy is we will become better and better at discernment and understanding what is real and what is not. And this will affect the time construct because you will be able to live more and more in the now. Do go back and listen to my video on how we are becoming crystalline beings. So, what's happening with the new grids that have been downloaded is that they are accessible to everybody. So, some people talk about it as like plasma light. That's totally fine. What's happening is you are getting imprinted, and your soul is listening and reprogramming your body. So your body is getting upgrades if you are asking for them, if you are choosing to go in that direction. You will never be turned down. Okay? You will ascend if that's what you're choosing to do. The question is, do you want to make it a painful ascension journey, or are you ready to relinquish and let go and enjoy the ride? So you want to think of your divine blueprint coming down to meet you and discussing with your body that you agree to the highest and best, to that template, to that divine blueprint that is going to help you visualize an entirely new world day to day. And the more of us that can do that, the more of us who let go of the old traditions and just remove ourselves from the situation, the easier it's going to become to start all new education, listening to the children who speak from their hearts, listening to people who are automatic healers, and letting go of all the old dogma. So, as long as you are allowing the purity in your heart to say to yourself that you are ascending and that you are a light worker and that you are holding the light and that you are working for the light, you are going to go in that direction. But if you continue with some old patterns, if you continue to guilt yourself and get into fear mode, allow Loosh to come in, those energies are going to simply make it harder for you. You are your own worst enemy if you are blocking your creativity, if you are blocking yourself from expansion, if you are trying to stick yourself into all those old ways because that's what you were taught, you were a good person when you did that. So a bunch of the videos that I have that are going to play are the ones, the 3 little words that will save you. It's not, I love you, although I love you is lovely. And when you move into unconditional love, you unconditionally love absolutely everybody, even for their faults. And you stop judging, understanding that everybody is exactly where they need to be at the moment. Also, there's a discussion more on soul contracts for those who may not be familiar and why bad things happen to good people and the hard knocks that I've learned through being a psychologist and through working with kids with cancer and through healings and all the various ways. Also, how not to fall for fear. Loosh is very real and what that means, and rising above duality. Because understand the matrix is completely dissolving and falling apart, which is why, too, it may be difficult for you to say, I want to do such and such. For example, there are so many people who want to be healers or who have goals, but some of those goals are still stuck in old programming. So I always say, heal yourself first and then look at what things start to pop up. It's more where you're finding your joy that is important. So, for example, in the old days, people used to dream of being a doctor or a nurse or a lawyer or owning a business or running a corporation. And all of these things will fall away because it's no longer about who, a name, a title, a degree. All of those things are going to fall away. It will be about sharing your pure essence every moment of the day. So, no matter what your title is, when you walk out into the world, no matter who you meet, could be a homeless person, it could be anybody. Your joy and your love is so strong, you're automatically helping other people by just standing there, even if you've never said a word. I think I shared this at one point, and I don't know if it's in this set, but wherever I go to this day, people walk up to me and ask me questions. I joke, I could be at the Waldorf Astoria and they think I work at the Waldorf Astoria. I could be a Dollar Tree. I was a couple days ago, and the person came up to me and asked questions. And I said, I actually don't work here. But it happens to me all of the time. That is because there's an energy that I put out wherever I am of pure openness. And the other thing that happens, because I've worked with kids so long, is that kids absolutely come up to me, or I'll know something, hear something, get told something, and have no problem going up to a parent if I see there's something I might be able to help with, and if they seem open. So it would be like somebody who, if a psychic walked up to you and turned around and said to you something about your child that you knew was happening, but you weren't really sure how to handle it. So the information just flows through me. So I feel drawn to somebody, and it usually is children for me. It's just my go-to. And then I will look at how the parent is interacting. I will look to see whether or not they're actually able to handle it, whether it's in a grocery store or wherever I may be. And if there is something that I can do to give that parent peace, I will open up my mouth. Actually, it's so strange too, because I, as I'm actually not totally the best at being what's the word? I'm totally forgetting the word. I'm not antisocial, but it's not my first drive to go out and want to be in the midst of a huge amount of people. So it's almost like something in me absolutely is propelled to have to go help or have to say something. And my mind does not get in the way in these circumstances to tell me the 100 reasons why I should not walk up to that person. It is a natural flow. It's something that just happens. So my point is, don't stop yourself from having a heart that wants to be there for others and is willing to open yourself up. That heart is very different than somebody wanting to go and meddle in your business. And you know exactly the people I'm talking about, the busybodies. They have to gossip, they have to say something, they have to tell you how you're raising your children. All of those are negative type entity attachments, or a person not allowing themselves to speak from their heart. Because by being a meddler, you are putting yourself on a pedestal and telling people how life should be according to your theories. And that is not how Source works. Source is a beautiful flow of eternal and divine love. And you have to be willing to give it to yourself, take away the judgments from yourself, and then it will naturally flow to others. So I really want you to consider being gentle on yourself and being open to new and different things. Maybe what will give you joy is going out into a community event and sharing your story or putting yourself out there in some way. Could be singing a piece of music, or it could be just being. And maybe you have the luxury of just being. And if you do, that is a wonderful thing. Abundance came to you to just share your light, to shine on, to be bright as you are without having to change so much. Because eventually, in your consistent and long period of happiness and bliss and enjoying the energies, all of a sudden something will pop up that you want to explore. And that desire to explore is going to tell you, okay, this is a challenge, or this is something now I want to work on. Universe will show you. You don't have to make it hard and painful. You don't have to knock your head against every brick wall. You don't have to run head first into everybody who you disagree with and tell them how they're wrong. It all starts from working within. And when I say working within, yes, that is working within to then hear from your guides, to be part of the universe and the galactic family. But it all comes from your heart. Toning down your mind, your ego, intrusive thoughts, and taking the time to really rest, to meditate. Again, it doesn't have to be in a guru position, but to slow down. And for many, December may force you to do that. You simply may not be able to keep up with all the crazy. So let it go. Say no. Feel okay with saying no. Don't put yourself on a guilt trip. And continue to visualize what you see the new world looking like. Let's bring it in together because it's a beautiful place. I love you. So come on over to Buzzsprout and join me. Subscribe. Because YouTube gave me that strike, I am doing monthly subscriptions, $5 a month, and I will put material there that will obviously be removed from other places. And for those of you who don't know, Buzzsprout is a podcast place like Apple. And it simply will give us a place that we are able to gather a little bit while I'm around and not moving every few days, week to week. And as long as I'm in one place for a little while, we'll keep going with that. So any contribution obviously helps me keep going. Buzzsprout, I do have to pay monthly fees in order to be there. And if I post more than an hour, the fees go up. So anything you can do, come on over, and that will be the place where we can use questions, things that people are struggling with. There's a fan mail site, and we'll be able to be just a little bit more interactive, and I'll have one place pretty much to be able to look. So definitely continue to subscribe on YouTube, but for material that you can't listen to on YouTube, come on over to Buzzsprout. I'll put a link below. Enjoy the rest of the videos. Thank you always so much for listening. Have a beautiful day. Hello to all you beautiful evolving souls. I did manage to upload the last video on soul contracts and why bad things happen to good people. So definitely go back and check that out. It's a doozy. No matter how many times I tried the audio or to upload it all day yesterday, I had nothing but problems. So it must be good material, right? All right. Well, today I'm going to try to make this short, and it's the 3 words that will save you. Everybody thinks it's I love you. I love you is wonderful to hear, especially if somebody means it and they're not looking for something from you, but they genuinely are sharing their love for you. But the 3 words, and this isn't easy to hear, I forgive you. Now, why is this so important? Because in this human body, after we have been hurt, stomped on, potentially violated, abused, picked on, gone through an illness, been told how to live, you name it, all of those things, it is very, very hard to turn around to those perpetrators, many of whom knew exactly what they were doing and fed off your energy for it. But to turn around and say, I forgive you, why should I have to do that? I don't want to be some guru walking along in a spiritual peace bubble back on the hippie train. This is real life. It's hard, right? I assure you, I have had those feelings as well. How can I possibly forgive the individuals who did things to the children I worked with? How? Wouldn't I be irresponsible? Taking responsibility is stepping up and above what the issues are. If you can help, you absolutely walk in there and do what you can do. But if it puts your life at risk, go back and see my lifeguard video, then you need to walk away. When I worked with children with cancer, of course, there were other family dynamics going on. And I had a little girl who was about 5 years old who came into my office, a new client, new patient, just diagnosed. And sure enough, she walked in and she drew one picture, and I saw it right there. Nobody else would have seen it because they're not attuned to reading drawings. But she was being sexually abused. And I had the foresight to A, see it, B, go to the head medical physician. And thank heavens at that point, he tried to listen to me. He really tried to listen to me. But also in that hospital, we had a phenomenal female physician who knew about children and sexual abuse inside and out. And so I called her for help. She immediately came down to see me. And the great news was, I was still very young at that time myself. The great news was she kind of counseled me into the steps of, how you can actually diagnose and see if anything had ever happened. And you can't bring any attention to the parents while this is going on. And you don't want to make a mistake, because you do not want to blame parents who may be totally innocent in this situation. I also had great concerns at the time about how Child Protective Services worked. So I definitely was on top of that one. So it turned out after her physical exam, I was absolutely correct. And I won't say any more of the story. However, the girl is fine. And that's the most important piece. And she got the help that she needed. But how can I possibly forgive the perpetrator who did that to that child? Does my heart break? Is it wrong? Absolutely. However, when you hang on to any emotion, any resentment, anything that goes against a universal law, and a universal law is as simple as love unconditionally. When you put out those vibes of resentment, anger, fear, anything in a lower vibration level, what you are doing is it is reflecting, mirroring back to you, and you are hurting yourself. As they say, a gun doesn't kill people, people kill people. In this case, holding on to resentment does not kill that other person. It slowly kills you. And the whole point of doing these videos is to help you wake up to how programmed we are and how we think, oh, I never have to forgive that person, or look what they did to me. And people hold what happened to them as these badges of honor. Well, I did this and that was done to me, and all of these other things. This is why I'd really like you to go back and listen to the other video, Why Bad Things Happen to Good People and What Soul Contracts Are, because you will discover that the experiences that you go through, you actually planned before you came to this planet. And that is so hard to learn and so difficult to comprehend. But what I want you to take away today, if you can, is start to make a list of the people who you truly haven't forgiven. And you know who I'm going to start with? Yourself. Oh, you have to let it go. You did things wrong. You're in a 3D matrix world. You had things you had to explore. You messed up more times than I can possibly count. You smoked too much pot, you drank too much alcohol, you partied too much, you didn't treat people with respect, you name it. Maybe you were in circumstances where you acted less than honorable. Forgive yourself. A new day is here. Everything is changing. And if you choose to move into the higher vibrations, you move into the vibrations of universe. And in universe, there truly is this incredible feeling of love, an incredible feeling of peace and harmony. And you can get there. And after you've forgiven yourself, start to think about those people that you may not have forgiven and how you can react differently. I'm not saying that you have to do what happens, I think in the Alcoholics Anonymous program, and I may be wrong, but I think one of the things is to write a letter and give it to those people who you forgive. And you may not be able to either find the perpetrator or go up to the perpetrator or up to that person who maybe they were incredibly loving and perfect to you and you just did not treat right. That you don't necessarily have to do. Plus, the person that you're giving it to may not be ready to hear it. But you can start to change the way in which you react. When somebody is being abusive, you no longer have to stand there and take it. Put a boundary around yourself and walk away. Doesn't mean that you have to fight. Doesn't mean that you have to tell them they're wrong. Doesn't mean that you have to interact. Because again, what happens if you are fighting and arguing and telling them they're wrong? What is mirroring back to you? That tension. Actually, I'm getting tense just talking about it. That tension. So you want to actually be able to let them say what they need to say at whatever level or space they're at, and then walk away. And as you get stronger and you realize it ahead of time, you simply do not put yourself in those situations. You say, I forgive you to yourself. I forgive you for not knowing better at that time, but I am wiser now. I am walking through and I will never, ever, ever put myself in that position again. That is waking up. That is discernment. That is raising your level of consciousness and awareness around you and taking personal responsibility for who you are so that you don't need to be come in and saved. So that you can walk the walk and be the light that you were born to be. Let the people who came into this lifetime, who chose to live in their own form of created misery and emotional abuse and drama, narcissism, manipulation, psychosis, whatever it may be, let them go live that life. That's not your life any longer. Let it go. The quicker you can say those 3 words, I forgive you, the quicker you will move into a higher vibration of love and meet others around you who no longer play those games. I hope that was helpful. I'm sending you wonderful, wonderful energy for a creative, beautiful day, and to go through your day paying attention to the way in which you're going to live, but in a new way, an energized, a happy, a confident, a peaceful way. If this message helped, hit like, subscribe, share. And of course, if you have $1 or $2 that you could possibly spare, head over to GoFundMe or just go to Buzzsprout and go to the subscription page. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Love you. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, beautiful light warriors, old souls, and evolving beings. What I'm talking about today, why bad things happen to good people. It's always so hard to see. You've also heard the term, only the good die young. And I'm going to share something with you that is not taught in school. I definitely didn't learn it while I was getting my PhD. As a matter of fact, I didn't even know this existed until around 2017 when I had a whole bunch more of my awakening and started getting my memories back. So buckle up, buttercups, because I'm about to go there. And this has to do with soul contracts. And if I would have known about soul contracts when I was working with people who were dying and could have saved myself grief from having lost so many children that I worked with, and of course, numerous family members all to cancer, it might have helped. So I hope by sharing this, I can help you expand your thinking about the way the world really works. Because once you start to get some of these concepts, you are able to move through pain and grief and sorrow and loss just a little bit easier. You'll still feel it. There's nothing like a death of a child, a death of a parent, a death of a loved one, a death of an animal. It does not matter. Pain and grief is difficult. And I have a video coming out on that. But this is about why bad things happen to good people and how programmed we've been. Okay? If you read the books, and I spent years, because of course my background is in death and dying, I probably have read every philosophy out there, every religious thought, you name it, I tried to figure it out. But for some reason, I was blocked from this knowledge until 2017. And it could be because as you learn about the soul contracts, it could be that I have had to go through all the pain and grief myself to be able to understand what other people are going through, which can make you a phenomenal therapist. And if you're strong, no matter what's thrown at you, you can just keep going. You can rise above because you walk into a whole new life and a whole new way of understanding. So let me talk to you about what a soul contract is. And again, I'm sharing this from my perspective. I have not specifically gone to a book and said, okay, this is what a soul contract is. But from what I'm learning and experiencing, a soul contract is actually something we all sign before we arrive to planet Earth. And I joke, I did not read the fine print. Boy, I did not see that that was part of my soul contract. There is no way in the world that if I was a loving being to myself, I would ever plop myself down into this universe in the midst of this time when everything seems to be falling apart. It's a rough life. I haven't had it easy. So I joked when I first heard about this. I was like, no way, a soul contract? That's ridiculous. I obviously couldn't read it. Well, guys, expand your mind because you have the choice to remain unaware, closed-minded, and living your little 3D life if that's what you choose. And it may have been your soul contract to do that. So when we look at people and we do what we are not supposed to do, as you will hear in my other video, which is judge, we're like, I don't understand how come that person just won't wake up. I don't understand why that person is putting themselves through this medical treatment. I don't understand why people are acting like sheeps. Well, there is a portion of the population who are very young souls who came to this planet specifically to learn lessons and to see how it feels so that they could have their own soul growth. And I hate to tell you, but some of that soul growth is all experiencing and giving off negativity and darkness. So this is why we can't run around, or shouldn't run around, possibly, demanding people to change, because it may be exactly what they came here to learn. Before you come to this planet, you have already picked out major milestones in your life. And oftentimes, the people you are going to go through those milestones or events with. I obviously picked all catalysts because the scenarios that I have ended up in are so extreme. My soul must have really wanted some experiences. And it is hard to understand that those that you love with all of your heart, whether it's a child or a spouse, a mate, a friend, a parent, whomever, that they are here not to be your soul person, soul mate, but they are here to intentionally be the catalyst that makes your life so miserable or so difficult that you finally realize you have to move above and beyond it to get to what your mission is. So, when we look at that beautiful person who ended up in an accident that shocked the world and left the planet, the likelihood is that was a soul contract and that their time had come. Then you say to yourself, but wait, why did my parents have to die of cancer? Why did my family have to go through this? Why is there line after line after ancestor of addictions? Well, there's a really good chance that that was in the soul contract. The question is, did you come to break that line? Did you come to simply experience it? And why is it that we don't know what our friggin' soul contracts are? So one, good news is coming, because as we evolve and move into the higher vibrations, we actually get more of our memories back. As we get more of our memories back, we might not have a booming voice that pops down and says to us, that was your mission. That was your soul contract. Good job. What we probably have is some feeling, when you look back, I get it now. I get why I was in that situation. And oftentimes you can see it well after you're out of it. But for some reason, you needed to experience that grief. You needed to experience that pain. But the truth is, you agreed to it. So in essence, no bad things happen that shouldn't happen. And this is really hard to grasp, to get your head around. And if I've lost you because this puts too much responsibility back into how you think or how you're feeling, or you may be in grief right at this exact moment, that's okay. Let it go for now. Let it go for now. It's too much. But it may just spark something in you that makes you look back on your life and go, oh my, I finally get why I was in that relationship, or why I went through some type of illness, or why I chose to put myself in that situation. And sometimes we even knew ahead of time. We're like, I'm not doing that. I'm not going there. No way will I marry or be with that person. And yet, what do? We go and do it anyway. That's a soul contract. So if I would have known about this, yes, things would have been different for me. But these lessons are lessons that need to be learned. Now, the fabulous part is the younger ones coming in are karma free, and their contract is pretty much just to be love. How phenomenal is that? That's also why we grow and love and are so fond of our pets, because so many of our pets were brought in to give us ease and comfort at the time that we needed them the most. And yes, when we lose them, we grieve. Oh, boy, do we grieve. But this question, why do bad things happen to good people, actually isn't a religious question. And that's what I was taught to believe. I was taught that the righteous rise, and not from a Christian type school or anything like that, mostly from materials, spiritual materials, and philosophy materials that I read. And I also was led to believe that you always have to suffer, that humanity is here to suffer, that we live on a prison planet, that we're to martyr ourselves because that's what makes us strong. This is so false. This is so false. You are not here to martyr yourself for anyone or anything. You are not here to give your body to experimental medicine. You are not here to feed other people's egos or energy vampires, but you willingly do it throughout the day. So, I hope that understanding this concept that I know a psychologist or a psychiatrist would have to define in diagnostic and statistical manuals, that there was probably something wrong with you, that you believed in soul contracts, but they all exist. And when you take responsibility for the fact that you chose these circumstances that are happening to you, and no longer try to blame an outside force, an educational system, poor environment growing up, abuse, which is hard, and even worse, long, hard illness, suffering, violence, all of those things that go on around us. It's hard to grasp the fact that you did actually choose to do that. But you chose it, especially the ones who died so quickly and so young, or perhaps even didn't have a chance to be born. They chose it because on the other side, it's almost like a bump up, a quick way to move through karma, to move through dimensions, to be able to go to higher dimensions. So nothing is lost. Everything is recorded in the universe. And everything, even though it just does not seem it, comes into your life for a reason. So please, try to expand your thinking, even if you don't get this right at this moment, or go look for other information on soul contracts and what they're all about. Have someone else explain it to you, and start to look at your life, realizing that you actually are in control. You chose what you came into, and there's a reason for it. And start trusting yourself as you make decisions to move out of things that no longer serve you, because that's what the beautiful energy coming in right now is for. It's like we all came to the most difficult time frame in hundreds of thousands of years, maybe millions, to make right a situation that went so wrong. But by being here now, not only have you walked through the sickest, murkiest, roughest times, we are right on the cusp of having so many souls wake up that we will move into bliss. And I can't put a religious term on it and agree, such as, okay, I'm not going to say it, but each one of us is leveling up. And we are moving forward if we choose. Again, if you chose to come into this planet, be a catalyst, remain in 3D matrix, then you will remain in 3D matrix. That is your choice. You came to experience all the crazy manipulative things, and you thrive and love them. And that is completely up to you. So I know it's a complicated topic, but I hope that helps you understand a little bit more and can start to realize that so many things that we've been taught in the world just simply are not the truth. So if you like this message, feel free to like, subscribe. Certainly send a comment to let me know what questions you might have. And go to Buzzsprout for membership, and or if you have the ability to put $1 or $2 in, certainly go to GoFundMe. The information is listed below. And I am sending you so much love, so much strength, so much warrior spirit. And yes, there are actually psychologists who can think outside of the box, medical professionals and licensed professionals who have moved through this path and discussed these things as well. So go seek those ones out. Go seek those light workers. Go talk to the angels. The angels are there for you. Stop thinking that you need somebody to send a message. Send a message to your loved ones. Ask for a sign. Ask for a symbol. We'll talk about synchronicities another time. Have a wonderful, incredible day. Love you. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, beautiful light warriors, old souls, and evolving beings. Well, if I haven't pushed you over the edge yet, hang on, because today I'm just going to push the boundaries, push the envelope even further. And the topic today is, what is this thing called loosh? You may have heard people talk about it or mention the name, and you just kind of move forward and didn't give it a second thought. But the truth is, it is real, and fear feeds it. Fear can be broken down as FEAR, false evidence appearing real. Once you start to understand that everything in third dimensional reality, in the matrix, is a lie, and that only one portion of your being is here, because you are actually multidimensional beings walking in a current, as some people say, meat suit, or a nicer term I think is avatar. When you realize that everything around you has been created to lie to you, for institutions to mostly make money, or for some more nefarious reasons, you start to wake up and you start to realize, wait, how many of these institutions am I actually feeding? Because I'm either part of them, or I pay into them, or I simply agree with what they tell me because aren't they the authorities? And this is where it's so important. The only person who controls you in the end is you, as you report to a higher self. Let me help you understand Loosh. Loosh is a true frequency harvesting tool. Let me explain that. As you walk along, there are lower frequencies and there are higher frequencies. Think of yourself when you're really sad or angry or hurt, and you fall into that feeling of not being able to move or knowing that things are wrong or just not wanting to get out of bed or not dealing with your own feelings. And instead of taking it out and processing it through yourself, you go yell at somebody or throw something at somebody or do something that is very aggressive because you just don't know what to do with these feelings. Whenever you operate in the lower frequency, you are putting that out energetically to the matrix. And the matrix loves it. Oh, I got another one. Oh, let's harvest all this horrible negative energy. Oh, let's try to make them so miserable that we feel great and they do something to harm themselves or to harm others. And there is even a deeper, unfortunately, dark and evil side to this harvesting of energy. And it comes from when someone is tortured or sexually abused or murdered or has violence committed against them or others. The more of that energy that the matrix or the elites or those in control, whatever you want to call them, can get you to buy into, the more they feed their energy source like a parasite. That is how they live. Now, again, I'm pushing difficult concepts on you and things that you may not have heard of or thought about before. But things are coming. Information will start coming out if you have not seen it already. And these things really happen. I'm not going to talk about Hollywood in this particular video. I will decide where I can post it safely. But I will say this, if you are even remotely subscribing to someone who you think is an A-lister in Hollywood, or following somebody who has millions and millions of followers because they are the it thing, you are feeding Loosh. So you want to pay attention to where you put your energy and what you truly believe. Because Hollywood is not what you think it is. Those people who you think that you're seeing right now are not who you think they are. And those who have made it to the very top made it not the way that they tell you in these beautiful stories about how, oh, they were on their last dime and all of a sudden they made it big. They sacrificed something for that. And it wasn't a good scenario. And because the internet has opened up, you can truly find out some of the A-listers, the celebrities who tell you what they sacrificed in order to get to where they are. And your heart will tell you, no, this doesn't happen. This isn't real. No way. Nah, it couldn't be that bad, could it? People couldn't really be doing this. Well, it's time to wake up and realize that they are, but don't live in that energy. This is not about pointing fingers. This is not about trying to rid the world of all evil by going out and defining and acting on it. This is about taking personal responsibility as to where you put your energy. Because the most beautiful thing is, if you put your energy into the higher vibrations, all of that simply has to end because they have nothing to feed off of. For any of you who are listening, who might have been around in school, I don't know, in the 60s, 70s, 80s, I don't know how long they did it, but we were told that if we were going to be hit by a nuclear bomb, we should duck and cover. Yes, we were supposed to actually get underneath a desk and cover our head in case of a nuclear war. And we would do drills like once a month in school in the United States. They didn't do this when I was in Italy. They didn't do this in the other countries that I was in, but they definitely did this in the United States. Okay, first of all, are you buying into their lie? If there was a nuclear war, you could actually put your head and your body underneath the desk and survive. It makes no sense, but everybody believed it. The teachers had to follow it. They had to do the drills. And a whole generation was raised with that belief. Let me share a secret. There will be no nuclear war because Earth is a very valuable planet and it is moving into the higher dimensions. And no way is Source going to allow it to be decimated. You may hear scare tactics. And some days, I think when I flip through the news really quickly, I think they might actually try to pull something and say, oh, yes, the war, nuclear war is coming, beware. Know in your heart, that is actually not going to happen. Now, are there military who are out there right now assuring that, who work for, let's say, the good side? Yes, a lot is going on. But you, unless you are in that circumstance, there is nothing you can do about it. So the way that they get your energy is by feeding off your fear. That false evidence appearing real, those are manipulated lies and stories that are told in the matrix to keep you down. They are the stories that help your frequency remain low enough that people can feed off of you. So what do? The only way to win is to not play their game. You have to rise above. And I have a video coming up about rising above duality. Duality will keep you trapped in lower vibrations. And in order to move above and beyond, like I say in one video, save yourself first, go be your own lifeguard. is to raise your vibration level and not take the things that you're hearing, whether it's through news or you're being taught in school potentially, or some institution is telling you that this is how it has to be, that if as long as you pay these fees or this insurance or this money, we're going to protect you. None of those are created to protect you. Those are created mostly to line their pockets. In one of the books that I wrote, an individual came back to me and said, oh, you're too pessimistic, or you're too hard on this group or this group. And I'm not going to say which ones they are. No. It is up to you to do your own research and to start to figure out that if you're living by the things that you see around you and you haven't started to co-create your new world, those things are manipulated. And as I always say, you have the choice. You may choose to live in that feeling because you're getting something from it as well. You're being fed off the negative energy. And if that's the direction you want to take, if that's your path, that is completely up to you, and that is fine. But if that is not how you want to live and you want to move into unity, harmony, peace, abundance, having everything that you need come to you because the universe wants to gift you, then you have to change your thinking. You have to change where you put your energy. And you have to change, potentially, those people you are listening to or being fed off of or thinking you should be like. And you need to start going out and creating your new reality. Because all of these wonderful new energies that are coming in are helping you move to make those choices. Help like there's never been before. So it's time. It's time for you to make a decision. Because those people who decide to go in one direction absolutely will. They will live out their lives. They will finish off in that negative state or in a lower vibrational state. Again, no judgment. That may be their soul contract. That may be why they came. But you have a chance to go off and finally play. Play with the universe. Do what you like to do. Share wonderful music, writing, songs, artwork, all of these things that, of course, they've stopped us from getting out there because they make us too happy. Happy without the addictions. Happy without the drugs of any kind. And imagine if we're all wandering around happy doing what we love doing and the abundance is flowing in, who can control us? No one. I hope this helps you think and take a look around you to figure out what might be causing you fear and go within. Find out where that fear is really coming from. Is it false evidence appearing real? Is somebody telling you that? Or is that some anxiety that you have inside of you? And if it's anxiety inside of you, then you ask yourself, well, did something just happen? Is it a physical reaction? It could be to anything, place I went, something I ate, something that was done. And really start going inside yourself to your heart, or going out and finding a light worker who understands how all of this works to get the help you need to move forward. Because every one of us that saves ourselves doesn't need a savior coming in. And if you're not playing their game, they can't win and they will simply disappear. So please do yourself a favor. Go within. Start to question everything. A lot of people for the last few years have had everything pulled from them. This is a chance to start new. Don't miss the opportunity. All right. I am setting up, trying to figure out the memberships and what works best. So watch my other videos if you need to know more about me. That one is Who Am I and Why Speak Now. I do have a GoFundMe site, and I have just started ask.starseed@gmail.com. So if you have a quick question or something that you need to know, you can send an email to me. I will probably not answer directly right away, but I will gather those questions, get a feel for what people are thinking, and then do a taped version of some answers for things that are on your mind the most. All right, go out now. You've done your work. You listened. You thought. Go out and look at the world around you. And those things that are not working, let them go. You acknowledged it. You understand they're broken. They're not part of your world. Don't hang on to it anymore. Go out and start to find the things that make you happy, the things that you enjoy doing. Doesn't matter what it is. It could be drawing, painting, being with family if they're loving and kind and wonderful. It could be sitting next to a tree, of course, hugging a pet. Anything that makes you happy and has you feel joy and peace and contentment, that vibration is so high that whoosh can't exist there. So by accident, or by the fact, quote, accident, or by the fact that you are enjoying and having fun and just in your zen and everything is going great, and wow, you just did a drawing for an hour, you thought, and it turns out it was 4 hours, you found your passion. Your passion has a high vibration. High vibration, no loosh. You're not feeding any of the old matrix or the old system. And what will happen to that old system? It will literally deconstruct and go away. All right, here's to go finding your passion for the day. Love you. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, beautiful light warriors, old souls, and evolving beings. Today I'm going to talk about how to rise above duality, conquer any fear or setback. And this is so important today because we are being fed so much information from different places. And many people are having a hard time trying to figure out what's right, what works for them, what is an actual lie or manipulation, and how to move beyond circumstances or really difficult hardships that are in front of them. And the answer is for everything, always, to rise above the matrix, to rise above duality, and to remember something that we've been trained not to trust. And that is, we are source beings. We are divine. We are the divine ones. So, if you are one with source, if you are divine, who does that scare? That scares darkness. That scares outdated institutions. That scares governments. That scares so many controlled groups and even people who walk along every day being mind controlled and don't even realize it. So I don't know if you have ever been in a scenario where you've had to be around or work with or in love with or have a child that is a narcissist. And narcissists can suck your energy, pull you in, and make you feel like you are the one who is crazy, who doesn't know what's going on. And I'm not going to go into any more detail than that on a narcissist at this moment. But a narcissist can only exist when it is feeding off of others. Broken institutions can only exist if they are feeding off of or getting paid from others. Darkness can only exist because it is feeding off of lower vibrational beings. Light always wins against darkness. Think about the simple truth of lighting a candle in a dark room. Who won, the dark or the light? You are that light. You are the source being. You do have a soul, or you would not be listening to this. When you have a soul, you are one with source. But you have been trained by, I'm going to say it, false forms of religion, indoctrination in schools, universities, and other settings, professional or otherwise. And every step has been to remove you from your connection with source and put in an intermediary. Like an angel is what you're taught, or a guide is what you're taught, or an ET, or some other Christ, perhaps. They are the ones that you have been taught you must pray to in order to get your answers, in order to get the help that you need. Well, way beyond that system is source. And yes, source uses angels. Source can also use demons. Source uses beautiful beings to give messages to help others along. But these ones who intercede, your guides, your guardian angels, the angels, all of the extra beings, they are there to work with you, to co-create, to be with you as if they're your very best friend on a minute-to-minute basis. Except the great thing about them is they're around 24/7. No human can keep up with that. So I call on all of them at all times. I call on my guides. I also call spiritual guides. I call angels, guardian angels, archangels. I do call on my beautiful ET beings who help me on a daily basis. I'm a starseed, so of course I'm going to go galactic whenever I possibly can because my information comes in so quickly that way. I'm going to call in my oversoul group. I'm going to call in Prime Creator Positive. You are meant to walk this path not alone, but being source and with source. You walk along and you call on all of this beautiful, higher dimensional, higher vibration energy to help you rise above any setback. A setback is usually simply a redirection. It's saying this isn't working for you. Great, you tried it, you cleared karma if that's what you were supposed to do, but now it's time for you to take that other turn. You're not supposed to suffer like this any longer. So step into something new. Start thinking about it. Don't hang out crying about it forever or feeling attacked because you lost something. No, step up. Your source. How are you going to create your world? You're going to let that stuff go. It's temporary anyways. You can't take it with you. In the end, can you? So find the things that bring you joy. This is why fear is truly false evidence appearing real. Because the fact is, if you are one with source, there is nothing that can stop you. Yes, things come up. That's life. You have lessons to learn. That's life. Does it hurt? Yes. Do you want to have to do certain things again? No. Can it get very difficult living on the earth plane? Absolutely. Do you go through grief and loss? You do. But when you are one with source, you are literally zipping through those issues, bypassing them, and stepping up very quickly into a wonderful place of peace and flow, where you can let go of phobias, where you no longer put yourself in those controlling situations that are difficult, where you can smell a narcissist 100 miles away so that you can put your boundaries up in case you have to cross paths with them. You are the light. You can override absolutely anything. You can override any addiction. You can override any illness. You can override anything when you come to the truth that you are one with source. And source being and all of the beautiful high vibrational beings, there are so many assigned to each one of you. You were never alone. You may not have one person in your life, but I assure you, there is a group that was assigned. It happened when you got your soul contract that made you agree to come down onto this planet and to give it a shot. And that group will change at times because sometimes you really just outgrow your teacher. But they are always there. So my question to you is, are you actually calling on them? Or are they just hanging out up there? They want to serve. They want you to ask for help. They want you to walk along every day and say, oh, I really don't know the answer to this. I am handing it up to you. Send me a sign. Send me a symbol. Send me a signal. Whatever you can. I'm at an intersection. You have a higher view than I do. What are you thinking? And then you take that advice, you put it into your heart and you go, well, does this really feel like me? Because you are here to live your life. They're not here to live your life. They're here to offer you advice. Which is the reason why I always say, I can't heal you. You heal yourself. But many of us who have the ability to see through the darkness, have been through the darkness, can see through the games and manipulations. We can rise above the duality into the higher dimensions. We're here. We want to help you. We want you to start to pay attention to what's going on around you so that you can go within and answer questions for yourself. Does this feel right? And please call on your angels. Not in the old traditional matrix way of a repeated prayer, perhaps. because some of those just give your power away. Well, I'm giving my power away to this, well, I don't want to say it, but in a concept, this angel that was created. Maybe it's even a fallen angel. I'm just going to give my power away to that fallen angel so that they can take control and tell me what I need to do, and my life will be so much better. Well, I'll tell you what, if you give your power away to that fallen angel, you gave it to them. You said, do something about this situation. And you know what? They did. They went right into that darkness and pulled you right in. And you did it willingly, or you just weren't paying attention, or you didn't think it was important. Everything is important. There are no accidents. You gave that control away. Rise up, rise above the duality, keep yourself protected in the light if that's the direction that you want to go in. And always remember, you are one with Source. And when you start to live in being with Source, a beautiful realization comes. And more people are now getting this because the energies are being lifted and the veil is actually thinning. So we have the ability now to connect way more than we ever did before. As a matter of fact, we're moving along so quickly that we will eventually get all of our memories and our skills back so that we won't need to use mediums or psychics or light workers. We'll be able to do all of this ourselves. But in the meantime, you have to start to acknowledge the true strength that you have within you. You need to turn around and say, I do not consent to these fallen energies. I do not consent to the matrix. I am stepping above and beyond. Show me. Show me. And the beautiful thing is, people will show up, or videos will show up, or books will show up, or signs will show up. Something will show you. And you'll start to realize, wait a minute, that setback, that was the greatest gift ever. Because I get to start fresh. And when an entire planet, Earth, is going in the wrong direction, sometimes the very worst thing supposedly shows up to separate and sort through how people feel. Are they going to rise above it? Or are they just going to go where everyone else is going because that's what's comfortable? Get uncomfortable. Because by being uncomfortable, you will be forced to move into something that works way better for you. All right. I wish you just the most incredible, beautiful day. Walk your day. Don't be afraid to call on those beautiful, positive angels, those beautiful, positive, higher dimensional beings. Never be afraid to admit that you are one with Source. Walk in your power. You've got this. Have a wonderful day. Love you.